confidence, and harmonizing with nature. With over 4 decades of changing lives, your self-discovery archaeologist, get ready to be the best of you with your host, Beverly Zimet.
And welcome to the Beverly Zimet Show, where being the best you can be has just gotten easier. Welcome, Katie. And Katie, how do you pronounce your last name?
Oldja.
Oldja. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I was trying to figure that out. It's like, is it this way or is it that way?
Yeah, it's like basically just say all the letters and you got it.
And you got it good. Oldja. Okay. So, Katie, tell our audience where you live.
I live in Honolulu, Hawaii.
Oh my gosh, that is like, oh, I wish I was there right now.
Yeah, it's pretty nice, I'm not gonna lie. Except right now, all the beaches are closed, but it's okay.
Oh, they even closed the beaches?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
I know.
Oh, no. Yeah, wow. Yeah, everything around the world seems to be like out of commission, you know?
Yeah, it's like the world is on pause.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. It is. It's like it's on pause, and it's like, seriously? Oh my goodness. But it's okay. I think it's part of Mother Nature's way of saying, hey, I need to clean this mess up. You guys have really created a problem here, and it's time to purge, you know? So I'm going to like put you all behind the walls and clean this act up. And, you know, the pollution is definitely going down, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Right? And we got a lot of time that we can do different things with that we haven't done for a while, you know, like spend time with family and, you know, because you're,
sure.
you know, you're kind of cooped up with them or whatever. Open lines of communication, hopefully, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, it's making the best of the situation for what it is, because there's a lot of great things that are coming out of it. And I'm really anxious to see how the world's going to change once this is lifted. Oh, I'm so excited for that. It's like, oh, it's going to be a more balanced, I believe, world, and things are just going to be, I just think so much better. I'm excited about that part.
Yeah, hopefully. I hope so too.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, how people can get a hold of you, and what you do, and then we'll go into details.
Yeah, okay. I am the founder and the head coach at High Life Health and Wellness. So basically, I'm a holistic or an integrative health coach. And so we focus on your spiritual health, your mental health, and your physical health through fitness and nutrition, rather than just focusing on, you know, your body or your mind or one piece of that. So if you want to get a hold of me or see any more of my stuff, you can go to Living the High Life on Instagram, or you can just go to highlife.org, or you can find me on Facebook, basically.
Yeah, she's all over the place, right?
All over the place, yep. Anywhere you look.
So what does a life coach do in all these little different aspects that you were talking about?
So basically, I just walk people through whatever area they need the most. So I actually started as a personal trainer and a nutrition coach, so I'm certified in both of those. I was working in a gym, so I would walk people through, you know, exercises and teach them how to eat healthy and stuff like that. But I found that a lot of people would not hit their goals, and it wasn't because they were not doing the workouts or not eating correctly. It was actually because their own mindset and their beliefs were holding them back. And so I expanded from there and kind of started teaching people about, like, okay, you are not just a body, you're actually a spirit, you have a soul, and you're a body. And so if you're only addressing health from that one aspect of physicality, then you're really going to be missing it. And so we started going through mindset stuff, working with, like, how do you actually, you know, take your thoughts captive, and how do you actually, like, focus on positivity. And so just teaching people like that, and also just teaching people about your beliefs, like really diving into what do you actually believe about yourself, what do you believe about your capabilities, and stuff like that, because your belief basically will cap your success. So if you don't believe that you could make more than $50,000 a year, then you won't. Mm-hmm. So just really teaching people about that stuff and teaching them, you know, how do you actually go back and undo those things that you're believing and all of that. So.
Oh, that's great. That's great. You know, and it does start with the mindset. You know, it's what the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve, right?
Exactly. Yes.
And sometimes that's easier said than done. But again, it's recognizing what is causing the backward spiral, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
And being able
sure.
to uncover what's the reasoning behind it, what's the root cause of all these things, whether it's an event that took place in your past, whether it's a cultural thing, you know, that's been shifted. Maybe you went through something that was traumatic and it kind of, you know, really put you on hold. So there's so many different avenues. And, you know, I've found in my work, it's emotional. You know, the emotions are really tied into that very deeply. And so that's kind of the first place we go to look is what's the emotional tie to all of this. And by looking at the body and where the body is running amok, you know, and is dysfunctional, is what's going to tell you what's the key to the deepest emotion, because it's buried in there, you know. And then when you can start digging that up and moving it out, the body has a chance then to come back into its own balance. Have you found that in some of the work that you do?
Yeah, I think the emotions are very good, just letting us know where people are at, you know, because if you have an extremely emotional reaction to something, like if you're in a fight with somebody and you start freaking out and you know, say some things that you need to go back and apologize for later, there's a reason you had that emotional reaction. And for me, what I find is that it's because something somebody did made you feel a certain way, and that triggered you for one of those habits that you already had. So for me, I found for me in my marriage, when I feel out of control, I lash out and try and control them even more. And so for me, that's something I've had to work through, is like just that belief, like I don't have to be in control to still be safe. You know what I mean? And so that emotional reaction actually told me, hey, there's something else going on here that maybe you should address, you know? And so I think they're just a very good way to kind of see, okay, what's going on under the surface? Why am I reacting this way? And why do I feel this way? So.
Right. That is so true. You know, and again, it's not about just helping your clients out there, right? It's all about starting in here and helping yourself, right? And sometimes that's not a very pretty place to go, is it?
It's not. It's hard. It's really hard to do, especially because I'm a coach and I know a lot of stuff. It's easy for me to be like, oh, I know this stuff, and to not even worry about it. But that's when I really have to dive in even more and be like, okay, if I'm going to be, you know, helping other people through this, I should be doing it myself. That's right. That's one thing that I kind of pride myself on, is I will never ask a client to do something that I haven't already experienced myself. Yeah, same. I'm the way.
Yeah, and I tell my clients, you know, once we start moving into this and things start getting a little deeper, it's not going to taste good. It's not going to smell good. It's not going to feel good. It's not going to sound good. But you know, when it's all done, there's time for celebration.
Exactly. Yeah, it's worth going through that, because otherwise you're stuck in that for.
Forever. I mean, you look at where you are now. You know, do you want that better? And that's what this show is all about, right? It's becoming that better you. And how do you do that? You move out of that comfort zone, that little secured space, you know, that we call comfort zone. No matter how miserable it is, it's all predictable. You know, so there's no fear of anything out here, because I'm right here in my safe little nest, right?
I love that you said that. Yeah. I just love how you said, you know, even if it's miserable, like, you know, it's there. So it's almost more comforting than the unknown.
It is, because it is predictable. Because you know what the outcome is going to be. You know what the reactions are going to be. You know, so you can deal with those because they're familiar.
Yeah.
Right? But if it's something different, it's unfamiliar, and people fear the unknown, you know, and that's the first thing they go to, is that, oh my gosh, it's that fear. But it's like, you know, what if it's better over there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I never thought about that. That's usually the comment. I never thought about that. You know, that's well, yeah. What if it is?
Yeah.
Let's go there and find out, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's so funny. Because you can go back. Like, if you really tried and you really tried to do something new and you expanded, like, and it's not better, then you can go back to living the way that you were living.
That's right.
Really wanted to. Like,
little do they know you really can't go back there anyways, because now you know different.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. But that's okay. It's comforting, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I think the biggest fear people have is that change. I mean, when you look at what's going on in the world today, right now, there's been a lot of forced changes, right?
Yeah. Being stuck in your house.
I did a little video on someone else's page, and I could pick whatever subject I wanted. So I started talking about 3 things that I found what's going on in today's world. So we have people that have what anxiety, social anxieties, right? And then you have those that are complete socialites. Now, right here in the middle, we are what? Socially distancing, right? So you have the people that are in this social anxiety, and they're all celebrating. I'm in my space, I'm all over here by myself. This is so cool, right? So now their stress and anxiety is gone, right? Right? And then you've got those that are the socialites, and now they're chomping at the bit because they're told that they have to be home, right? They have to stay home, and it's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do here, And they're like, they don't know what to do. They're lost in this, and so now they're stressing out because they don't have that social interaction.
Yeah,
right?
It's hard. My husband is very extroverted, and so for him, he's like, oh my gosh, me, I'm totally, I'm like, I'm good. I can work from home. Like, just give me space. I'm fine. But yeah, it's definitely very interesting.
Yeah, it is. It really is to watch, where the patterns are, right? And how we're impacted by those patterns. And, because you have both sides of the fence, and where one pattern that used to be uncomfortable becomes comfortable, and the one that's comfortable becomes uncomfortable,
Yeah.
So in a lot of instances, and then you see, all these businesses, it's like, okay, we got to get creative here. What are we going to do to survive, to do at home? Thank goodness the internet's still up and strong and running, right?
Yeah.
Because
I'm actually fully online, so for me it wasn't even a change, but for a lot of people they're like,
oh, it's drastic. It's drastic. And it's not they didn't use the internet in their work. They didn't use it in how they functioned at work, right? Because they drove to their little cubicle and parked. Now their little cubicle is they walk from the bedroom to the other side of the bedroom, maybe, if they don't have it on a home office or whatever the case is, right? So, but, when you look at the time element, that's what I think is what's really precious about what's going on here is creating a different value for our time, right? The time. So we're looking at it from a different perspective that way, and time spent with family, how many hours a day are spent in travel time, right?
Yeah.
Stuck in traffic time, and it doesn't matter if you're in a big city or if you're, out in farm country or whatever, you still have that travel time, and so if it's something, why do we have to go? Everybody goes into the office. They go into a little square, right? And what do? What do they do when they want to talk to somebody in the other square?
Literally email, usually. Or text.
Yeah, they got these little phone things sitting on their desk, and they push a button, intercom or whatever, We're going to call a meeting. Everybody goes to the boardroom. It's like, seriously? So... so it can be done, here online, and we're working into the virtual reality world of it. I don't know if you know anything about virtual reality.
Yeah, I was actually an artist for a long time. I still am, technically, but I don't do it as a career now. But I've worked a lot with like digital media and with virtual reality and stuff like that. It's very, very interesting. It's kind of almost disconcerting though, because I feel like people are going to kind of get stuck in that virtual world over the real world, you know what I mean? And that social interaction I think is going to even go lower, but I don't know.
Time will tell. The virtual reality and the aspect how my partner and I have brought it together is we've actually built a boardroom, We have office buildings, we have classrooms, for students and things like that, so that you've got that environment. So everybody has their little avatar, right? So now you're in that realm, right? And it looks like the office. I mean, we can build little cubicles or whatever you want, right? So it's that whole full office setting. Everyone has their little avatar, and you're there at the office. So it's taking you, the psyche, again, we work with the psyche, right? And that mindset thing. There's a belief that we're seeing all of this happening out here, right? So what does that mean? What does that do? It changes that, and pretty soon that becomes your reality, because you're working at home. When you look up, you see your office because it's right there on your screen, right? And so you're doing your business and whatever else that you're doing. And if you need to get in touch with someone, all you have to do is speak and say, hey, Sally, do you have this file by any chance? Could you look up something for me in this, right? Or whatever the case is, right? And so,
that's cool, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's a whole different ball game that way, right? And so we'll see what happens once things are over. If all these office buildings, these skyscrapers, what's going to happen to them?
Yeah.
Are they gonna turn into, shall we say, maybe apartments?
Yeah, maybe.
Right?
I mean, in Honolulu, there's so many. So it would be really interesting to see if, like, this online thing becomes, more permanent. I'm actually very interested to see that.
Yeah,
But
I think it will. I think it will. My son is in the phone business, right? And they do a lot of voice over IP, and they ran phone systems around, and now they were just totally inundated, with businesses. He lives in Denver, and oh my God, they were hit hot and heavy, to get things set up and to get set up from their home businesses, right? So they're going to have everything in order. Everything is in place. Why would they go back to the expense, let alone the driving time and everything else? I think it's going to change that mindset that we've talked about with people that, this working over here isn't quite so bad after all,
Yeah. I hope it does, because I think the big business mindset really holds businesses back, honestly. The whole, like, oh, you have to be here from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and you have to be in the office and you have to, I think that's not, people don't work the best that way. So that's another thing I talk about with my clients is, like, learning yourself and learning how you work the best, what time of day you work the best, what you need to function. Because some people do need that social interaction to function. Some people need to be, like, just totally by themselves. So I think that's really good. Like, and I hope that businesses will kind of use this moving forward to be like, okay, we've seen what employees thrive doing this. Why don't we let them do what they're thriving at instead of forcing them into this model that doesn't work for everyone?
That's right. And I think it's a great thing too, especially, if you're a single parent, right? And having to haul to a daycare, you got that expense, and then if the child gets sick, what's happening? And there's a lot of functional parents, that really can function in a business, get done what needs to be done without the interference, of a child. And when you raise a child in an environment like that, knowing that mom has these hours to do this, and these are the hours that you need to be doing this. Because I worked from home. I wrote for 5 different newspapers, and so I had my phone calling time, to do what I needed to do. And then I had to do my typing up and, whatever, and then get it all sent off. And this was long before there was emails, right? And so it had to get all typed up, and then it had to get it in the envelope and get up to the post office, right? So, and they knew, what mom was doing, and they needed to be quiet during that time, and so they had their TV time at that time, and then when I was typing whatever, they could be playing, they could have more noise if they wanted to or whatever, so they knew that, and I think they learn how to manage the world around them, and what steps it takes, and how to respect the other person's time and space.
I think that's really good. I think it's really good for routine too. I mean, I just did a live video about routine like 10 minutes ago, like 10 minutes before we got on. I was just talking about routines, especially routines during time like this when you're all stuck at home and stuff like that. How important it is and how it actually is very, very good for mental health, because it helps you feel grounded. Not only just grounded, but it relieves stress because you know, okay, if no matter what else happens today, I have this specific thing at this time. That's one thing that's going to be constant, you know? And so it actually is really good for mental health to like teach people, okay, how do you build routine and like manage your time and all of that kind of stuff. So I feel like for your kids even, that was probably so good for them just to even learn like, this is your routine to do, you know?
You know, and routine is a good thing, you know, thank you for bringing that up, because, you know, I think a lot of people don't know how to have a routine, you know, at home, how to discipline themselves, because they're used to being told what to do, when to do, how to do it, and where to do it, right? And how long to do it, right?
Yeah, it kind of forces you to think on your own.
Exactly. So now here it is, you know, and I think it should be a family affair here too, you know? It's like, okay, so what are we going to do? We need to sit down on a Sunday night and say, now let's plan what the week is going to be, right?
Yeah.
So these are the hours Dad needs to do, and these are the hours that Mom needs to do. So these are the hours that kids need to do, right? And I think it really teaches them too that there's more to running a home than what meets the eye. Because now a lot of kids don't even know what a home environment is, other than, you know, because a lot of times they have after school programs and everything else, or they go to a daycare or whatever the case is, right? And they don't even see their home until 6, 7 o'clock at night. And then what do? You eat, and everybody's tired because they've been sitting in traffic, and so, you know, the diet's not that great because you know you don't feel like cooking, so you grab something, and what do you grab? Fast food. That's why they call it fast, right? You know, so it just kind of keeps on spiraling, and you know, so when you can have some kind of construction in the build in what you're doing, and everybody gets in that routine, and everybody respects everyone else, it's amazing how smooth things can run, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's a really good lesson for people to be self-sufficient as well. And when you're raising kids, to teach them like how to, you get to manage yourself during this time, you know, and you get to do this and all this stuff, but to teach them like, this is how you set all this stuff up. This is how you, what you said, like run a home. This is how you manage your own time and get the stuff done you need to get done without a teacher looking over your shoulder.
Exactly.
I think it's so important, because I think our public schools, the way that they're run, are not super beneficial at teaching kids how to live outside of school, you know?
Right.
So they teach them what to think and what to do and what to write and all that kind of stuff. So,
well, you know, it's that self-responsibility. You're responsible for what you do, for what you learn, right? And it's tough. I mean, it's a hard job being a teacher, you know, and a lot of times their hands are really tied these days because of all these rules and regulations, you know, and you do have kids that are there that are wanting to learn, and then you have the disruptive ones, right, that just kind of ruins it for everybody, you know. And so it's like, again, you know, your duality, if you got this, you got this. How do you change that, right? And so online schooling, I mean, it's been around, and my grandson's been in it. Oh gosh, he was in 3rd grade. He graduates this year, you know, and he's been on an online school. It's almost kind of like the college thing was, where they zero in. I'm not sure what the platform is that they use, but they see the other students, right? And then they have field trips, 2 to 3 field trips a month, sometimes 4.
That's cool.
So they have that interaction, but they can still interact while they're online. But the curriculums are completely filled, so there's no disruption. There's no bullying going on, right? And the teacher is there, you know, and again, they learn discipline, you know, and when they have to get up, you know, and so when he was, you know, even at that age, he knew what time he had to be on, and it was his responsibility, because Mom had already clocked in and she was in her office, right? And Dad was still sleeping because his hours were different, but he knew, you know, because Mom had breakfast, all he had to do is figure out which one he wanted, you know, and over to his little computer, and he went, boom, and he was on.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's so good for kids to learn how to do that on their
Yeah.
own.
Yeah, it it's a whole different world. It's a whole different world. So I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of that these days, and hopefully less kids will fall through the cracks.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope so.
Oh my gosh, it's something has to change, right? Change is going to happen whether you want it to or not, right? We talked a little bit about that this morning, and it was. Change is here to stay.
Yeah, I think that's great. I like change. I know a lot of people are uncomfortable with change, but I really enjoy it.
Oh, I do too. I'm a Scorpio, so it's all about death and rebirth, which is all change, right?
I think Scorpio's like my sun sign. Like you have more than one, right? So I think Scorpio's my sun sign.
Yeah, you have your moon sign and your sun. Yeah.
Pisces is my sign. So both water signs, I think, right? Interesting.
A Scorpio is a water sign.
Yeah. So it's very interesting, but
yeah, it is, and all those things do impact our life, right?
For sure.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So what are some of the other things that you do? What are the fun things you like to do?
Outside of working?
Yeah, outside of working.
I really do. I love what I do, so I think it's very fun. But if I'm not doing that, I work out. I love working out. I love CrossFit.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm training for a Spartan race right now, if you know what that is.
I do.
Okay. Yeah, they're fun. So I'm training for one of those. We go to the beach a lot. I love reading, and I actually really love creative stuff. So I was an artist.
Well, you're an artist, so I would guess so, right?
Yeah, so I'm actually, in my free time, one of my hobbies is I'm working on a novel.
Ooh, nice. What's your novel about?
It's basically, it's like kind of like a fantasy novel. So there's like a lot of magic and stuff like that in it. But I'm just kind of working, I think, especially during this time, it's really cool because I have so much extra time because we're not doing anything. So I've gotten so much writing done, and so I'm actually trying to finish it this year, and maybe I'll publish it. We'll see. I don't know. But,
nice. Hey, when it gets closer, let me know. I've published a couple books already, and so through a self-publishing type of format, right? And
cool.
Yeah. I love them. I love them. They've been really good for me, and so
cool. Yeah, I love books in general. I love reading. I love writing. I love creating stuff. I'm a very I love a lot of things.
Well, look at the world around you. What's not to love about this planet,
Yeah. So I do a lot of things in my free time. I kind of just do whatever I feel. I'm very intuitive, and so I'm like, I feel like doing something creative, or I feel like reading, or I feel like whatever. So I do a lot of things. But
yeah. You come across, too, as a person who's very spontaneous.
Yes. Yes, I am. Yeah. Which is actually, it's funny that because I make sure that I do my morning routine. Like, I'm so strict about my morning routine and being disciplined so that the rest of the day I can do whatever I want to do. And so for myself, people, I know it feels like for me, discipline kind of feels like a cage sometimes where I'm like, oh, I feel so trapped. But it really gives me the freedom to be like, I've already got my workout out of the way. I've already got everything I need to do done.
Right.
So now I can do whatever I want to do or whatever I feel like doing.
There you go. Right.
It's freeing. That's a plug for a morning routine, but
yeah. So. And routine is, like you said, we talked about earlier. Routine is very, very important.
Yeah.
Because your body adjusts to that, right?
Yeah.
And when it's used to certain things at certain times, it performs better.
Yes.
Right.
100%.
Right.
Yep.
So talk a little bit about nutrition. You said that you kind of are using nutrition. What do you teach your clients, when you talk about nutrition?
So I really want to teach people to basically learn their body and to learn what intuition feels like and to learn how what their body is actually asking for. Okay. So most people think I have to cut out food, I have to cut out carbs, I have to cut out everything. Right. In order to be fit, and that's not the case at all. And so basically there's only two ways of eating that I suggest for people. One is intuitive eating, so basically learning what your body wants, what feels good, and eating that way, whatever that looks like. So that could be plant-based, it could be more of a carnivore diet, it could be more like paleo, whatever, it doesn't really matter as long as you know that your body feels good doing it.
Right.
The other way I suggest is macro counting, so basically knowing how much carbs, protein, and fat you need and eating that way. And I only suggest that way if you're competing in a sport, or if you like have a very specific goal, like if you want to hit like 16% body fat or something like that, you know.
Right.
But for most people can learn their body, learn what they need, and they can maintain healthy weight just by learning what their body wants to eat and eating what feels good. So I really try and help people do that. But I also teach people the mental health aspect of nutrition, because your gut and your brain are so connected.
Oh my gosh,
And
yes.
the way you think actually impacts your digestion. So even if you're eating healthy,
Yep.
if you're thinking negatively about the food that you're eating, it'll affect the way it's digested. And like, so I really want people to know, like, that's why I'm like, spirit, soul, body, okay? It's never just nutrition.
It's never just one or the other, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if I mean, even sugar, processed sugar, it affects your brain and it affects your hormones, and it's linked to depression,
Yeah.
anxiety. I mean, there's so many things. So, oh man, I can talk about nutrition all day. But so basically, just it's never just about one thing. It's always impacting something else, which is why I'm like, learn what your body wants, because no diet, not even a doctor can tell you like, oh, this is exactly how you need to eat, because they don't know how you're feeling 100% of the time. And so if you feel like, you know, if you feel like gluten-free or whatever feels better for your body, then do that. Like, you know, your body was meant to heal and it knows what it needs, so it'll tell you what it needs. You just have to learn how to feel it, or how to hear it, basically. So
pay attention and then make the change, right? There we go back to that change word again, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that is so important. That's so critical. You know, you talk about the brain and how it connects with the gut, right? And when you're doing emotional eating, right? You know, what do we go for? We go for those comfort foods, right?
Yeah. And why do they make you feel comforted? Because the hormones that are released when you eat them.
Well, it triggers that feel-good zone right up here, right?
Exactly, yeah.
But it's short-lived.
Yeah.
You know, and then you crash and burn. Right? So then what do you got to do? So then you go grab another feel-good food, right? And so, whoa, it's feeling good. And then, boom, you crash and burn. And what you find happens, it takes more to have that feel-good zone triggered, and the crashes get worse. So when you start to understand that, right? And again, with negative thinking and fear thinking sometimes, because it hits that same feel-good zone, right? Because it shoots off the dopamines and the cortisols and the, I don't know, a whole arena of different chemicals.
Yeah.
Right? And too much of a good chemical is just as bad as too much of a bad chemical.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
I mean, even depression, the reason there's so many different drugs for depression is because it's impacted in different people's bodies so differently. Like some people have an overload of dopamine and their body can't process it, and so it makes you freak out a little bit. And so they actually have suppressant, like they'll suppress that dopamine, which is supposed to be a feel-good drug. But if you have way too much, like it really impacts your mental health.
It sure does. Yeah. Too much of a good thing isn't a good thing.
Exactly.
So everything in what? Moderation. Right?
Yep.
And it's like, oh my God, I got to do this, I got to do that, I can't do this, can't do that. You know, it's like, whoa.
Definitely. It's true.
Yeah, it's the body is a fascinating thing, and the brain and how it functions, and it's like your computer, you know, and all of these pieces and parts that move are because of that little computer up here, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and how you feed that computer, whether it's food, nutrition, or whether it's thought, right? It's going to make a difference in how that computer sends those messages down the pathways, right?
Definitely, yeah.
So
what's cool too, it's not like even a static thing. So a lot of people think your brain is just what you have. So you're born with an IQ, or you're born with intelligence, or whatever it is. That's not even the case now. Like,
no.
Actually, like food and exercise actually trigger neurogenesis, which is basically your brain building new cells. So even if you feel like you're not a very smart person, which is not true, but if you felt that way, like you can build more neural pathways, you can build your brain, you know? And so, yeah, it's crazy. Like everything you do is impacting your brain 100% of the time, whether it's positively or negatively.
Right. And that's, you know, so when you start moving out of that comfort zone we talked about, you know, where everything is miserably comfortable or whatever the case is, right? What happens when you limit change and limit new things, the brain begins to shrink, right? And shrinks, right? So you always want to be learning new things, and the best way to build neural pathways and to keep them going, because you can build a neural pathway, but if you don't use it, the pathway disappears again. So one of the sharpest ways to keep your brain going is to learn a language.
Yeah.
Right?
So good. I love language.
And that really expands the brain. So when we talk about some of the other dysfunctions, with memory, right? And we got all kinds of labels for that. I don't have to say them, right?
Yeah.
Well, what can you do to help avoid that? Is reducing some of those stressors, and some of the different nutrition, things that we eat. But it's our thinking, those thought processes, that happen. And start getting creative, start expanding the brain, start creating change, and really start rebuilding those neural pathways, but detox the toxicity, and how you start that is getting rid of those toxic thoughts, right?
Definitely, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people don't realize that thoughts are things. They're not just like floating out here. They're actual things, and they're actually like, every time you think a thought, it's like carving a little pathway in your brain.
Yeah.
And so that's how you get stuck in negative thought cycles, because you think those negative things, and then it's so much harder to break out of that. And so every thought that you think, every word that you say, every food that you eat, it's all impacting your actual physical brain.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it's so important. It's so important.
I mean, it's a complicated little piece of equipment up there,
It is. It's crazy. It's so cool, but
yeah. Yeah. And science, we bring science into things, right? Because now they can test all of these things that we're talking about, right? And that's what's fascinating for me. That is like so fascinating as to how all of that stuff can change, watch all these little things going all over the place, and it's, what does that one mean? What does that one mean? What does that one mean? Right? And again, when you're in these thought processing, think about it when you're depressed and when you're down, and you're just, in the doom and gloom, world, and how do you feel? It's like you're always tired and you're exhausted, right? It's hard work to stay in that low vibration, to stay in that negative vibration. Yeah. It really is. And so when you start flipping the charts and you start being happy and laughing, all of a sudden your spirits are lifted, and all of a sudden you have energy, right?
Yeah. It's true. It's so true. What you focus on is what increases in your life. Exactly. So like, if you're focusing on all the negativity, like, you will find more negativity.
Yep.
But if you shift that to be like, hey, what am I grateful for today? Or what am I happy about today? Like, you will find more things to be grateful and happy about.
Yep.
It's so simple, but also really hard.
Yeah. Yeah. She didn't say easy. She said simple. Right? Yes. Simple doesn't mean easy.
It's not easy, but it's so worth it, because even like you're talking about with habit and stuff like that, like, it becomes so subconscious, whatever you're doing. So whether you focus on the negative, or you respond negatively, or you respond positively and focus on the positive, like, that'll become a habit. So even though it's hard at first, spend like a month doing that, and you're going to find it so much easier to just be like, oh, I'm so grateful for this. Oh, I'm so happy. Oh, it's like, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it becomes a personality trait, So when you look at those old habits that you get in, and where they started, and how they're there, and how they got passed on down, right? And again, it's that changing, but it's being aware. Totally being aware of what your surroundings are, what your thoughts are, what it is that you're doing. Yeah. And then paying attention to what you have to do differently, and stay with it. And sometimes you might have to, take notes, put little, upbeat things on your mirror, so when you get up and you look in the mirror, you can say, hey, I love you, or you look at yourself and say, oh man, you don't look so good this morning. And then there's this little power, quote that you stuck up there, and it's like, yeah, that's me today, right?
Yeah, that's so funny you say that, because that's actually a lot of stuff I do with my clients. Like, people will always be like, they always think it's so almost like childish, I guess,
right,
to say affirmations, to be like, I am powerful, I am strong, I am amazing, like that kind of stuff. But they don't realize like how that actually, those simple things actually impact you. Like, radically impact you. There was actually a study on depression done where they took all these people who were self-diagnosed with depression, and they basically said, okay, you're going to look in the mirror and you're going to smile at yourself for 5 minutes every single morning. Yeah. And by the end of a month, literally every single one of them said they don't feel depressed anymore. They don't feel anxious. They don't have all those negative thoughts anymore because of one simple thing that they just had to change every single day. One thing. Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
I mean, when you think about it too, if you're walking down the street and if you're feeling kind of like gloomy or whatever, and somebody walks by and they smile, what does that do? Oh,
yeah.
It sends this warming feeling, right? It's like, you know?
Yeah. Definitely.
So always smile, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you in the statements that you were making, 2 words that I believe are the most powerful words in the dictionary, and that is I am. Right? You know, because it's powerful, because you're making a claim statement as a definite thing that you are. So be careful what you put behind those 2 words, because that becomes your reality. Right?
Yeah. Right? For sure.
Right?
Yeah. And what's so cool too is it doesn't even have to be something that you actually see about yourself at that time. You know what I mean? So I do affirmations every single morning, and I say, I am whatever I aspire to be. And as you start saying that, it actually like sets your brain up to be like,
oh gosh, like, so much
think that way. And so when you start thinking that way, then your actions align to your thinking, and you become whatever you say that you are.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
So if you want to be strong, I am strong. You know, if you want to be powerful, I don't know, whatever it is. Like, you can make that happen.
You can. You know, so be careful when you start laying claims to being sick or being upset or
fear is a real one too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that I am word, those 2 words are so powerful. What are you saying behind those? And then you wonder why you get what you get.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They did a study.
That's so real.
It's so real. They did a study. You know, with people, you know, everybody in a room and everybody's feeling good, right? And so it was like they singled out one person. And they said, everybody go up and say something and ask them, are they feeling okay? Right? And it's like, well, you don't look so good. Are you feeling all right? Oh, yeah, I feel great. Well, after about 4 or 5 people, and then you get up to 8 or 9 people, pretty soon they are starting to feel not so good. Because of what people were saying. And it's like, well, maybe I don't feel so good, right?
Yeah.
And so they've tested that. So there is power in the spoken word.
Yes. And I could rant about frequency. I don't know if we have time for that.
Oh, rant away, girlfriend.
Well, I mean, everything is frequency, right?
Yes,
so I don't know
it is.
Go into that at all, but so I mean, like even the thing that we're looking at, our phone or our computer, like those are all made up of frequencies, different frequencies for every single thing. And so those frequencies can make you feel positive, or if it's like a lower frequency, it can make you feel negative.
That's right.
And your words 100% are frequency, and they impact the frequency in your body, in your brain, your thoughts, all of that kind of stuff. So when you're just wallowing in negativity, that's releasing that into the atmosphere around you, you know? Or if you're like surrounded by love, it makes you feel differently than if you're surrounded by someone who doesn't like you, you know?
Oh,
that's
gosh.
why when you walk into a room and there's a bunch of, you know, if there's like some tension in the room, you can feel that tension, right?
Right.
So that alone just tells you how powerful that is.
Exactly.
Just that feeling that you're having, or that like whatever you're experiencing, you're portraying to other people, and vice versa, you know?
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. And it is, it's understand, it is. Well, I mean, when you understand frequency and vibration, right? You have sound therapy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yes.
And again, look at the tone of your voice, right? You know, and you look at our tone of the voice. It's our natural voice here. You know, people want to say and they want to listen to that tone, right? But if you're talking down here and you're in this monotone, how long do you think people are going to hang around and listen to us talk?
Exactly.
Did you just feel your whole energy just go, whoop? You know? Yeah.
I mean, even just the energy we portray on video. So, like, for any business people, I don't know if any business, but if you're doing live videos and you before the video are like, oh no, this is going to be awful, like nobody's going to watch it, kind of stuff. And then you get on and you're portraying that energy, and people feel that energy even through a screen. So like even just us being on here, if I came on here and was like, oh, hey, you know, whatever, like first off, we should end the video. But people feel that. And so if you're not succeeding at somewhere, if you don't feel like you're living your best life, or you're struggling in your business, or whatever it is, like maybe take a second and address those things. Like look at how do you think about yourself?
Right.
Think about your business, or about what you post. Do you believe that what you post is going to attract your ideal client? Like, what do you actually think about? All like that stuff actually will impact your business and your life, not just
yes, it
business,
will.
but
That's for sure.
So-
That's for sure. Great comments there. Yeah. So
Yeah.
what do you know? So it's what do you do? And that's about being that best you that you can be, right? So when you just think about that, what does that entail? You know, it's physical, it's mental, it's emotional, it's spiritual, right? So what are you going to do? So it's those thoughts. You know, what is that thinking process that you're going to do to make it happen, to become better and better and better, right?
Yeah,
I've been doing
that's
this.
so cool that you say that, because it's about being. You know, it's not about doing.
Yeah,
like if
that's
I
right.
was not connected to my identity and I didn't know who I was, it doesn't really matter what I do in business. It's not going to be successful because I don't know who I am and I don't know what I stand for. You know what I mean? And
Right.
so if you're trying to just do stuff, you're just trying to strive and you're just trying to make stuff happen, like that's not really going to work well if you don't know like why are you trying to make it happen.
Yeah,
Or who you
exactly.
are.
You know, that's what I say in goal setting, right? What's the first thing? What's your why?
Exactly.
Right?
Why are you doing this, and who are you, and who do you want to be? That's why I am is like the most powerful thing, because it's about your character and your identity,
Yes.
not about what you're going to do. And
Exactly.
then your actions will align to that.
And they always say actions speak louder than words. So you can talk and talk and talk, but if you're not doing, and that's about walking the talk, you know. So I mean, I can tell, you know, just from listening to you and your energy and your beingness, okay, that you walk your talk.
Yeah,
right?
You can tell.
Yes, you can, and your clients will be able to tell. you know, if you're walking your talk. Because if you're just talking it, your whole life is going to show that you're not walking it.
Exactly.
Right?
Even like seeing just from a fitness side, like if you're looking at a fitness trainer who's not in shape, like, do you really want to train with somebody who doesn't do what they're teaching you to do?
Yes. Yeah.
Like, no.
It's
I wouldn't.
It's kind of like sitting behind the table, you know, and you're in these events, right? And people are selling their wares, and you've got someone here selling diet pills, and they're 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is funny because everybody I've known who sold diet pills was overweight.
Right. Yeah, so there you go, and it's like, so you ask, well, how long have you been taking it? Well, I've been taking it for 6 months. But what has changed, right? And they're legitimate questions, right? You know, if you have something over here where you were 500 and now you're 300, well, now you got a story, right?
Yeah, true. That's true.
So the proof is in the pudding, right? But again, if you aren't walking that talk like you're saying, then why would someone want to come to you? Why would someone want to take direction from what you're saying if you're not a product of that, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you are your best marketing. I mean, if people see your life and they want your life, or they want to be like be as happy as you or whatever it is, like then they want whatever you have. You know, so even from like a sales perspective, like people want to buy from people that they like want to be like, you know.
Exactly.
So if you're living this life and you're doing what you're trying to sell, then like people will buy it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
So.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter, you know, what it is. I mean, you could be marketing the worst product out there. But if you believed in it and you were that expression of it, and it's, you know, and you're using it and you're walking that talking, right? Everybody's going to want it. I mean, that's advertising. I mean, my gosh, just look at the advertising that's out there. You know, whether it's on billboards or whether it's on, you know, TV ads or whether it's Facebook ads, you know, it doesn't matter, right? You know, and it's that consistency. that happens, and it becomes so automatic. And if you don't think that really works, take your kids to the grocery store, and what do they pick off the shelf?
Yeah.
Right? What
For
they're
sure.
watching on that screen, because that was what they were told to eat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
True.
So you have so many subliminal, we'll talk about that, subliminal messaging, subliminal programming that goes on around us every day that we don't even know exist, just through those habitual advertisements and stuff. But what do we do setting ourselves up in some of those routines that we have and some of those habits that we create? That's a form of brainwashing, right? And programming. Have you found that to be true with clients that you're working with, is to get down into what that programming is and what the environment is that they're faced in every single day that reinforces and reinforces?
Yes, we call that input versus output.
Input versus output. That's a good way. I like that. I'm going to have to use that. Input versus output.
I basically, one of the programs I do is like a 12-step program, essentially. And so the first step is like, okay, let's talk about your goals and your vision and stuff like that. One of them is input. So we all talk completely about input. It's like, okay, what do you watch every day? Do you watch the news every day? Especially right now.
Oh my
the news
gosh.
is not your friend. Like, it's all about fear. It's all about, like, they make money selling fear. So
yes, they
really
do. Oh,
them.
God. I love what you just said. They make money selling fear.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear that? Did you hear what she just said? They make money on your fear. Yeah, they're selling you fear.
Of course, they're not going to be like, hey, you know what happened is like 70,000 people healed from coronavirus, like on their own without any medicine. No, they're going to say, hey, there's a vaccine and you can take this vaccine. And I'm not trying to bash vaccines or anything like that, but you know what I'm saying? Like, they are not going to show you positivity. And so if you're struggling with fear, if you're struggling with anxiety, like, what are you allowing into your life? Are you watching the news every day? Are you letting that stuff become a part of like what your belief system is about the world?
Right.
So the news is the biggest one I have. Like, I don't watch the news because it just, I don't see the point. But even just like what you read, what you watch on TV, all of that stuff, like, and the people that you spend time around, that's a huge input people don't think about.
Right.
Like, if you spend time with your best friend and all they do is talk trash about someone else, like, is that a really positive input or not? So I mean, just being aware of, like, even like, we can't control advertisers or billboards or stuff like that. But we can control, like, what am I going to watch on Netflix? What am I going to read? What am I going to say to the people around me? Or like, what are they, what am I going to believe? And so we have that control. Like, we can control what we allow into our life, and social media and all of that kind of stuff, we are in control of that. So just learning to control, like, and putting in positive things, putting in affirmations, all that kind of stuff is really going to dramatically impact your life, like, crazily.
Focus on the things that you can change.
Exactly.
And the things that you can't change and you have no control over, put them back there where they belong. Right?
Sure. 100%. Just being aware, like, okay, the stuff that's coming to me, it does impact me. Even just having that awareness, I think, dramatically impacts your life, because now you can say, like, it's not just a blind submission to whatever you see. You can actually start to see, like, oh, that, like, I don't believe that, or like, that's not true. And you can start to reject things that are negative that you don't want in your life, whether you have control of them or not. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Well, and it's not being in denial of those things. It's knowing they exist, but how do you move them out of the existence in your presence, right?
Yeah, and how do you reject them instead of, like, the media saying, oh, coronavirus is killing everyone. Okay, well.
Well, I'm not everyone, so I guess I'm safe, right?
I know. But so you can choose to reject that, or you can choose to be like, oh my gosh, like, buy all the toilet paper,
And that, I never understood that. It's like, hey, people, that's the wrong end.
I know. I'm like, it's not, I guess because the quarantine, they expected to quarantine, so they don't want to run out of toilet paper, but I don't know.
Yeah, but enough is enough, right?
Yeah, but fear is such a big deal. And I mean, you talked about programming. There's stress is actually the main way that hypnotists hypnotize people. People don't realize that. They think that hypnotizing comes from being in a state of relaxation, but it actually is like hyper stress. So when you're in a hyper stressed situation, your brain is actually like set to rewire itself. And so if you're if you're always stressed out, like you're letting the media reprogram your thoughts about yourself and your thoughts about the world. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So being aware of that and being like, okay, I'm not going to stress out about this situation. I'm not going to be anxious. Even that is going to really help you, because yeah, when you're stressed, it's prime time for you to be programmed by whatever you're stressed out by.
Yeah, it opens up that barrier. There's a critical part of mind that's there, to help prevent your fight mechanisms, right?
Exactly.
But when that stress comes in, those doors open and everything just goes straight through. There's nothing to stop it, right? That's a great point. That's a very great point that you made there. Yeah, and we get caught up in it, and so subconsciously, I've asked people, where's your stress level? Do you feel stressed? Oh, I don't have any stress in my life. Really? Oh my gosh, I want your life, right?
I don't believe that.
And it's like, okay. And then you start talking more about, so what's bothering, and they start complaining about this or that. And it's, well, would you say you were stressed out about that? And then all of a sudden they stop and they're thinking, oh, maybe that is stress, right?
Oh,
again, it's that comfortableness that we feel because we know it, it's predictable. So it's not stress anymore. It's a predictable feeling that's just always there. And so we learn to be comfortable with it, right? When in essence, what is it doing to your mind, to your body, your physicalness, your mental state, your emotional state? What's it doing? Wow, that's an eye-opener for people, right? Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. I think the biggest thing that I do with my clients is literally just educate. Like, I just want you guys to know about all this stuff.
Yeah, and it is.
And I want you to take responsibility. So.
Yeah, education and responsibility. Because you can't change them, right? But it's opening their awareness. Once you open their awareness, and now they have choices, where are they going to stay? Which side of the fence you going on? You can't be on both. I wrote a book.
Exactly.
Which side of the fence are you on? Right? All I have to do is push the button and put it into print, right? I guess I should do that.
Awesome.
And it's like when you're here, you can't be here.
Yeah.
Right? So you can't have both ways at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So know where you are. Can you straddle that fence? You can think you're straddling the fence.
A while, yeah, exactly.
But, it's going to lean, you're going to be deeper over here, or you're going to be deeper over here. So you're not in both places at the same time. Don't kid yourself.
Yeah, and indecision is actually a decision.
That's right.
Like, a lot of people think like, oh, I just won't deal with this. But that actually is a decision. You're deciding not to deal with it. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, I'm not sure, and so I'm just going to stay here until I'm sure. Like, you're actually going to go one way or the other. Right. So if you're like, oh, I'm not fit, but I'm not sure if I want to be fit. Well, you won't be fit. You'll be.
You're just going to be right where you are. You're not going to go. Yeah, exactly. You're not going to go either way. You're just going to stay right there.
Exactly. So it's not going to be like, you're not going to benefit from not making a decision.
It's like trying. How do you try to do something, right?
No, you just do it.
You either do it or you don't, right? You try to pick up this glass of water. So here's this glass of water. Try to pick it up. It's like, oh, is this a trying? It's like, you'll either pick it up or you won't, right?
Yeah, like Yoda. Didn't Yoda say, do or do not, there is no try, or something? I think that was Yoda.
Something like that, yeah. Something like that. I have heard that, yeah. So there are certain words that you should be taking out of your vocabulary. Try is one of them. Can't is another one, right? Good job, right?
Yep.
So there are several that you just shouldn't be using them.
Yep. Right? 100%. I love it. I'm so big about personal responsibility because I'm like, you're not a victim of your circumstance. Like, it doesn't really matter what happened in the past or any of that kind of stuff, because you get to decide now, like, if you're going to move on from that. You know, I mean, like, I have been through a lot of trauma, and so I have a right, based on what people say about victimhood, to be a victim and to just live my life however I want to, right? But
Right.
I disagree with that. I don't believe in victimhood. And so if you are living a certain way, it's nobody's fault but yourself.
There you
Like,
go.
if you want to change your life, you have the tools to do that. And so that's what I want to teach people. So I teach people those tools. But like, even if it's not me, I mean, you could go on Google and like, how do I meditate? How do I do this? How do I do all this stuff? You know what I mean?
Right.
There are avenues for change if you want to change.
If you want it, yeah. And you
Yeah.
can't change unless you want to. That's
Exactly.
the key word. Wanting. Again, we go back into that choice. To do or to not to do.
Exactly.
To become a better you or remain the same.
Yeah. And I don't
Yeah.
even know if it's really remaining the same, because I think if you're not going forward, you're going backwards.
Right.
You know? I mean, like, even in fitness, if you stay at the same weight, for example, if you lift 10 pounds every single day, you actually, at the beginning, you'll probably get a little bit stronger. And then for a while, you'll maintain. But then you actually will go down. Your muscle tone will go down. Everything will go down. Your endurance will go down, because your body and your brain are so good at making things as easy as possible and using
Right.
as little effort as possible. That if you're not growing, you're actually going to start going backwards.
Well, it's
'Cause
like if you're not living, you're dying.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right? In everything that you do. So
Yeah.
that's your choice, audience. Do you want to live or do you want to die? Eventually,
sure,
you're going to
because
die,
it's
but you
yours.
know what? You might as well go out and having a good time, right?
Yeah. Or you could be. I mean, you could die not with chronic illness, without Alzheimer's, without all these things that people say come just from being old.
Right.
Because that's not true. I mean, if you take care of your body, it will take care of your mind, and you could be, 90 years old and still lifting weights. You know, you don't have to have all those mind issues.
No,
Agendas.
and again, that's a programming and a belief system, right?
Exactly.
Oh, this is your number now. So
Yeah.
you should feel like this, and
Exactly,
you should
and that's
act
not
like
true.
this. No,
Yeah.
no. I'll share
100%
something with you. I'm 70.
What? Okay, I did not expect that at all. Like, maybe 60. That's
Maybe
awesome.
she says. Now, actually, my biological age tells me that I'm the big 70, right?
Mhm.
But my belief in my body, in who I am and everything that I do, is 45.
That's awesome.
So for me, I've been programming for all these years that I'm 45.
That's so cool.
And so my body functions in that manner. My mind functions in that manner, right?
That's so
Because
cool.
my belief is 45.
Yeah. So anybody watching, like, proof right there, right? Like, that's awesome.
I like to throw that out there every once in a while because I love
Yeah.
the look on the people's faces. Like, what?
That's really good. That's so awesome.
Yeah. Well, my dear, tell the people how they can get a hold of you again. I'm going to throw up your little card.
Yeah. So you can find me on Instagram at Living the High Life. High is spelled H-A-I. You can find me on Facebook. I do have a free Facebook group where I do live videos every Friday, and I also do free workouts and things like that. So that is just called Spirit, Soul, and Body Health. And then my email is livingthehighlife@outlook.com or highlife.org if you want to see, kind of what I'm about. You can read more about me and stuff like that. So I'm everywhere.
She's everywhere. There's a song out there. I've been everywhere, man. Right?
I don't know that song, but
Oh, yeah, that was before your time. That was back in the day.
yeah.
So that's great. And I am so thankful that you came on here today and shared, your story and our conversation. It was such a delight to have you here, Katie. And I
Thank
hope
you.
you come back.
Yeah, I definitely really enjoyed it. I love talking about this stuff.
Yeah, and it's awesome. And it's all about being that best you that you can be. So
Definitely.
you go out there and be that best you can be, because Katie and I, we're going to go out there and be the best we that we can be.
Absolutely.
So everyone, enjoy the rest of your day, wherever it is in the world that you are, and we'll see you on the next show. Bye.
Bye.